Useless, angry woman. That's how President Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, spits his first words across the chamber. But this isn't just another insult. It's the opening shot of a political clash that could shake America. In a nation where 1 in 3 black women in politics report facing daily racist abuse, and where over 70 million Americans still back Trump, no matter the scandal, the stakes couldn't be higher. Here, in this hearing, Jasmine Crockett refuses to bow. She isn't just defending herself, she's standing for every voice silenced by power, prejudice, and fear. What follows isn't debate, it's war. The gavel strikes, echoing through the marble chamber of Congress. Reporters hold their breath. Cameras zoom in. Every eye turns toward the witness table where power and defiance collide. The air is so thick with tension it feels like glass, ready to shatter with the slightest spark. And then, Trump leans forward, lips curling into a sneer. His voice slices the silence. "Useless, angry woman!" Gasps ripple across the room. Some laugh nervously, others shake their heads. But everyone knows this is no ordinary insult. This is a challenge thrown like a blade across the floor. Jasmine Crockett does not flinch. Her hands grip the table, steady as stone. Her eyes narrow, sharp, and unyielding. She rises to her feet. The chamber trembles with anticipation. "Mr. President," her voice is clear, ringing like a bell of defiance. "America doesn't need a bully-in-chief who hides behind cheap insults. What this nation needs, what the people deserve, is the truth you've been bearing under lies." A roar erupts from the crowd. Reporters' pens scratch furiously across notepads. The words hang in the air, heavy, electric. Trump slams his palm against the wood. "You, truth, don't make me laugh." His tone drips with disdain. "You're nothing, a backbench congresswoman, a parasite feeding off my name." The words sting, but Jasmine doesn't let them pierce her armor. She steps closer, her gaze locked on him like a predator circling prey. "I don't need your name to stand here. I stand with the people you've silenced, with the communities you've torn apart. And no matter how loud you shout, the truth will drown you." The chamber explodes. Shouts, claps, boos, whistles. The gavel slams again and again, but no one listens. The world is watching, and the battle has begun. Trump's face reddens, veins tightening at his temple. He leans forward, voice dropping to a venomous growl. "You should watch your step, Crockett. Careers end quickly when they cross me." The threat is naked, the intimidation deliberate. But Jasmine only smiles, a cold, razor-sharp smile. "Is that fear I hear, Mr. President? Because threats are the weapons of weak men who feel power slipping from their hands." The crowd gasps again. The insult cuts deep, and Trump's composure cracks. He shoots up from his seat, pointing a finger like a loaded gun. "You're a disgrace to this chamber, a disgrace to your people, and when I'm done here, you'll wish you never opened your mouth." The words spill like venom designed to humiliate, to break her in front of millions watching live. But Jasmine Crockett does not bow. Her voice grows louder, steadier, cutting through the noise like thunder. "You call me a disgrace? No, Mr. President. The disgrace is a leader who mocks the people he swore to serve. The disgrace is a man who fears a woman with the courage to speak the truth." The chamber is on fire now. Some cheer wildly, fists pumping in the air. Others jeer, faces twisted in rage. The nation itself feels split in two, right there, in that room. Trump snarls, pacing like a caged beast. "You'll regret this, Crockett. I'll drag your name through the mud. I'll crush you under the weight of my office." Jasmine steps closer until only the table separates them. Her voice lowers, intimate yet defiant, meant for him and for every microphone capturing each word. "You can try, but remember this. Offices don't last forever. Power doesn't last forever. But truth is eternal." The words hang heavy, reverberating like a drumbeat through the chamber. The gavel hammers desperately, but the chaos is unstoppable now. Reporters scramble to capture every second. Social media ignites like wildfire. The confrontation has spilled far beyond these walls. And at the heart of it all stand two figures: Donald Trump, the embattled 47th president, raging and snarling. And Jasmine Crockett, the warrior of justice, unshaken, unyielding, eyes blazing with defiance. They do not blink. They do not back down. Two faces locked in a stare that could ignite an inferno. Two voices clashing like thunder before a storm. The chamber, the nation, the world, all hold their breath. Because this is no longer just a hearing. This is the battlefield. And tonight, only one warrior will walk away unbroken. Jasmine Crockett knows the moment has come. The room is still roaring, yet she speaks with a clarity that cuts through the chaos like steel. Mr. President, she begins, voice unwavering, you stand accused of abusing your office, of bending the law to serve yourself, of burying evidence that should have seen daylight. The words land like cannon fire. Shockwaves ripple across the chamber. Gasps, mutters, cheers. Even the marble walls seem to tremble under the weight of her accusations. She presses forward, relentless. You've taken the trust of the American people and twisted it into a weapon. You've siphoned power for your own gain, silenced voices that threatened you, and hidden truths that belong to this nation. And you think insults can cover that up? A storm of noise erupts. Some rise to their feet, applauding. Others boo so loudly the gavel is nearly drowned out. The air feels hotter, heavier, like fire spreading in every direction. Trump leans back at first, smirking, almost entertained. But then his smile hardens into something sharper. He leans toward the microphone, his voice low, mocking. Abuse of office, he scoffs. Corruption, evidence. What evidence? The only thing buried here, Congresswoman, is your credibility. He pauses, letting the jeers from his supporters wash over the chamber like a wave. You come in here with your little rehearsed lines, hoping the cameras will make you famous. But all the cameras see is a desperate woman trying to claw her way out of irrelevance. Laughter explodes from one side of the room. Trump basks in it, spreading his hands wide as though he owns the air they breathe. Jasmine's eyes blaze, but she doesn't falter. She raises her voice, slicing through the noise. Irrelevance? Tell that to the families whose voices you silenced. Tell that to the communities left broken by your greed. I speak for them, Mr. President, and the louder you mock me, the clearer it becomes. You fear the truth. The words sting, and Trump shifts in his seat, but he recovers quickly, snapping back with venom. Truth? He spits the word like poison. Your so-called truth is nothing but lies dressed up for the cameras. You don't speak for the people. You speak for your donors, your handlers, your little circle of elites who pat you on the head when you bark at me. The chamber erupts again, chaos boiling to the surface. One half cheers his every syllable. The other half roars in fury. The sound is deafening, a battlefield of voices colliding with no mercy. Jasmine refuses to be drowned out. Her hand slams the table. You call this lies? Then answer me, Mr. President. Where is the missing testimony? Where are the documents sealed under your watch? Where are the voices of the whistleblowers you tried to silence? Her words slice like arrows. For a moment, Trump hesitates. The cameras zoom in, hungry for a crack in his armor. But then, he laughs. A booming, theatrical laugh that fills the chamber and flips the tension on its head. You think you've trapped me with questions? You've trapped yourself, because the only thing America is seeing right now is a bitter woman shouting at a president. And guess what? Nobody likes a bitter woman. The insult hangs in the air, crude and cutting. His supporters erupt in cheers, stomping their feet, clapping, chanting his name. The sound reverberates like a war drum. Jasmine stands tall, but the tide in the room has shifted. Every camera angle shows Trump grinning, feeding off the frenzy he's unleashed. He points at her again, almost casually. You want corruption? Look in the mirror. You want abuse? Ask your own donors. You want buried evidence? Maybe start with your own failures. The crowd roars louder. It's no longer just noise. It's dominance, weaponized. For the first time, Jasmine feels the ground slipping beneath her. She fires back, voice fierce. History will remember your crimes. It will remember the people you hurt, the laws you broke, the truth you buried. No chant, no insult, no circus act will erase that. But her words are nearly swallowed by the thunder of Trump's supporters. He raises a fist in the air, grinning wide, and the chamber shakes with their response. The gavel slams, desperate but powerless. The chaos belongs to Trump now. And for this round, the momentum tilts in his favor. The battlefield is still burning. But tonight, in this clash of words and will, Trump walks away with the first taste of victory. He doesn't waste a second. Like a predator who smells weakness, he lunges again, this time with numbers, charts, and statistics, fabricated, distorted, weaponized. Let me tell you something, Trump booms, his voice riding over the noise. During my presidency, unemployment among Black Americans was the lowest in history. Historic. Nobody ever did that before me. And yet, here she is, this nobody, screaming about corruption. He waves a sheet of paper in the air, bold graphs scrawled across it. No one knows if they're real, but the cameras zoom in, the crowd gasps, and the spectacle is enough to plant doubt in minds. Look at these numbers, he continues, stabbing at the page. Record jobs, record wages, record security. And who benefited the most? The very people she claims I silenced. The truth is, I did more for them than she ever could. Applause crashes like thunder. Supporters leap to their feet, clapping, chanting his name, echoing through the chamber like a victory parade. Jasmine steadies herself, jaw tight, eyes locked on him. She knows the numbers are twisted, but the damage is done. In politics, perception is its own reality. Trump isn't finished. He leans closer to the microphone, narrowing his eyes at Jasmine. You come in here pretending to be some champion of justice, but let's be honest. No one outside this room even knows your name. You're irrelevant, a background character in a story too big for you. The insult slices deep. The crowd laughs, jeers, some even shout, "Sit down!" The sound is merciless, like a pack circling for the kill. Jasmine's breath catches for a heartbeat. Her knuckles whiten as she grips the edge of the desk. She feels the sting, but she doesn't look away. Her eyes stay locked on his, unflinching, daring him to keep going. Trump paces his words like a master of spectacle. Let's face it, he sneers. You have no political weight, no real power, no legacy. You shout, you posture, but in the end, you'll be forgotten. Just another angry voice in a sea of noise. The chamber tilts in his direction. The rhythm of the room is his now. Every cheer fuels him, every laugh amplifies his cruelty. Even those who oppose him sit back, shaken, as though caught in the gravity of his dominance. Jasmine lifts her chin, refusing to bow. Her silence is not surrender, it's defiance. But Trump spins it as weakness. See? He crows, pointing at her. She has nothing left. No facts, no evidence, no strength. Just anger. And America doesn't need angry women yelling into microphones. America needs leaders who get results. Leaders like me. The crowd roars again, stamping their feet. The sound rattles the chamber, a living wall of noise that threatens to drown everything else out. Jasmine's eyes burn. Inside, her mind races. How to strike back, how to break through the storm of falsehoods and taunts. But outwardly, she is still and unyielding. The cameras catch it, her steady gaze, her refusal to blink. A warrior's silence in the face of humiliation. Yet in this moment, silence isn't enough. The perception is clear. Trump is driving the narrative, bending the room, tilting the scales. Even the gavel slams feel useless, swallowed by chants and cheers. The chairman's voice is a faint echo against the thunder of Trump's momentum. Jasmine knows this is only one battle in a longer war. But tonight, in this dangerous terrain where truth is twisted and reality is reshaped, Trump stands taller. The chamber leans his way, and as the lights blaze down, highlighting his smirk and her steady defiance, the tension climbs higher. Every heartbeat, every word, every cheer pulls the room tighter, like a rope straining toward its breaking point. The battlefield has shifted. Trump's counterattack is ruthless, calculated, devastating. And though Jasmine remains unbroken, for now the advantage is his. But something shifts. A silence falls. Not submission, but calculation. Her eyes sharpen. Her voice returns, steady, cold, and cutting through the roar like a blade. Mr. President, she begins, her tone suddenly sharper than steel. You wave charts, you quote numbers, you twist history. But let's drag those numbers into the light, shall we? The crowd stirs, sensing the shift. She slams a folder onto the desk, pages spilling forward. Official records, congressional reports, verified testimony. Here are the facts. During your term, unemployment numbers were manipulated, massaged, while entire communities were stripped of opportunity. Jobs counted twice, data buried, whistleblowers threatened. And those historic records you brag about? They came from policies written years before you, by leaders you mocked. The room erupts, half cheer, half howl in protest. The chairman bangs the gavel, but the chamber's already boiling over. Jasmine raises her voice above the storm. You call me irrelevant? Then why is every lie you tell bent toward silencing me? You fear me because I am the mirror you can't shatter. Every time you distort reality, I will bring receipts. Every time you hide behind bluster, I will drag the truth into daylight. Applause explodes, rolling like thunder from her side of the chamber. The air tilts. The tide begins to turn. Trump leans forward, jaw tight. His smirk falters. The spotlight that once glorified him now feels harsher, heavier. Jasmine doesn't stop. Her words are relentless, each one landing like a strike. You buried evidence, Mr. President. Testimonies disappeared, witnesses silenced. But here, she holds up a document, high for the cameras, is proof of your administration pressuring federal investigators to shut down leads. Here is evidence of taxpayer money rerouted to enrich your allies. And here is the timeline showing exactly when it happened, while you were smiling on stage, pretending to be the savior of this nation. Gasps ripple through the chamber. The crowd surges again, this time not in Trump's favor. Chants rise, not for him, but for her. Trump's hands tighten on the desk. The mask slips. His face flushes, the trademark grin replaced by a shadow of anger. You don't know what you're talking about, he snaps, voice rising. You're lying. You're twisting. But the interruption only feeds her momentum. She cuts him off, her voice blazing. Lying? Twisting? That's your playbook, Mr. President. You can shout me down, you can mock, you can sneer, but the facts are louder than your insults. And America is watching. The applause is deafening now. Her side rises to their feet, clapping, shouting her name. The energy surges through the room like electricity, splitting it into two clear halves. For the first time, Trump looks cornered. He pounds the table, trying to reclaim control, but the chants drown him out. His face reddens, his jaw clenches, the carefully crafted image of dominance cracking under the weight of her relentless assault. The chairman's gavel is useless, drowned by chaos. One side chants, Crockett, Crockett, while the other shouts, Trump, Trump. The chamber has become an arena, divided, blazing with fury and conviction. And at the center of it all, two figures. Jasmine, standing tall, her eyes aflame, every word burning like fire. Trump, rattled, anger twisting across his face, his aura of control slipping through his fingers. The battlefield is no longer his alone. Lines have been drawn. Allies and enemies stand exposed. The chamber is split, the nation symbolized in that very room. One half clinging to Trump's roar, the other rising to Jasmine's call. The clash has become more than words. It is war carved into the air, battle lines etched into every heart watching, and as the lights glare, as the cameras capture every second, Jasmine Crockett does not bow. She rises, she commands, and she makes the world see. For the first time, Donald Trump is not the hunter, he is the hunted. But predators don't surrender. They adapt. They dig deeper into the darkness. And Trump has always known how to weaponize the shadows. He leans forward, his eyes narrowing, the smirk creeping back onto his lips. The chamber still trembles with Jasmine's fire, but his voice slithers into the noise, commanding attention. You think this is about evidence? About papers and testimony? He sneers. No, Congresswoman. This is about power. real power, and that's something you've never touched. The words slice the air, sharp, deliberate. A hush spreads as he continues, lowering his voice, forcing the crowd to lean in. You see, I don't stand here alone. I stand with the system itself. The prosecutors, the billionaires, the networks, the ones who write the rules while people like you pretend to play the game. Gasps ripple through the chamber. Jasmine's eyes narrow, a flicker of recognition flashing across her face. Trump isn't done. He holds up a sealed envelope, thick, heavy, stamped with official insignia. The cameras zoom in. I didn't want to do this, but since you forced my hand, he taps the envelope, savoring the moment. Inside here is proof that you, Jasmine Crockett, have your own skeletons, misused funds, hidden ties, a scandal so ugly it'll bury your career before it ever takes off. The room erupts in chaos. Shouts, disbelief, chants, outrage. Some gasp in shock. Others cheer wildly, feeding on the spectacle. Jasmine's heart pounds, but she doesn't flinch. Her voice cuts through the noise, steady, unshaken. Fabrications, forgeries, lies dressed up as law. This is your trap, isn't it? You couldn't win with truth, so now you weaponize shadows. Trump laughs, slow and cruel. You call it shadows. I call it strategy. Do you really believe you can stand against me and the machine behind me? You're not fighting me, Congresswoman. You're fighting an empire. The words hang heavy, poisonous, intoxicating. The crowd feels it, the scale of what he's implying. Not just a man, not just a president, a system, a fortress of power stretching far beyond the chamber walls. For the first time, true danger crystallizes in the air. This isn't merely a duel of words. It's a war against something larger, darker, more insidious. Jasmine steadies her breath. Her pulse hammers, but her eyes burn brighter. An empire built on fear and lies will crumble. It doesn't matter how many forged papers you wave, how many backroom allies whisper in your ear. You will not break me, and you will not silence the truth. The chamber shudders. Applause bursts from her side, desperate, defiant. A roar of resistance against the looming shadow. Trump's face hardens. The smirk fades. He slams the envelope onto the desk with a thud that echoes like a gunshot. You're already broken, he growls. Your name will be mud. Your allies will scatter. By the time I'm finished, no one will remember you were ever here. For a heartbeat silence reigns. Every eye flicks between them, the man wielding threats like weapons and the woman refusing to bow. Then Jasmine steps forward, her voice rising, fierce as fire. You can smear me. You can threaten me. You can summon your shadows to swallow this chamber whole. But you can't erase the truth, and every lie you tell only proves how terrified you are of it. The crowd explodes again, half with fury, half with admiration. The chamber splits wider, the divide carved deeper, sharper. And in that fracture, the true stakes are revealed. This is no longer just Crockett versus Trump. It is a battle between one voice and the weight of a hidden machine. The trap has been laid, the shadows have stepped into the light, and the danger, once hinted, now stands in full view. For Jasmine, retreat is no longer an option. The battlefield has shifted into darker ground, and the war has only begun. But wars don't stay contained. They spill, they spread. And this one bursts out of the chamber walls, into the streets, onto screens, into living rooms across America. Outside the hearing, the sidewalks swell with voices. Hundreds, then thousands. Placards raised high. Justice for all. Crockett the brave. Chants thunder. Stand up, Jasmine. Stand up. Across the street, another wave rises, just as fierce. Banners proclaim, Trump honors strength, protect the power. Their roar collides with hers, a wall of sound splitting the air in two. Police lines form, tense and rigid. Helicopters circle above. The city hums with unrest, every heartbeat in sync with the storm unleashed in that chamber. And online, it's wildfire. Clips of Jasmine slamming documents onto the desk hit 20 million views overnight. The hashtag #WarriorCrockett trends worldwide. Faces of young and old alike flooding feeds with cheers and tears. To them, she isn't just a congresswoman anymore. She is a hero, a symbol, the voice they had long been waiting for. But the other half is just as loud. Trump's smirk, his envelope of evidence, his cutting words, they loop endlessly on cable networks and across Facebook feeds. The hashtag, Trump Unbreakable soars, his base hailing him not just as president, but as a warrior king, the last defender of order against chaos. America fractures in real time. Every comment thread is a battlefield. Every dinner table an argument. Every screen a weapon. The press fans the flames. News anchors dissect every gesture, every syllable. One network paints Jasmine as the fiery truth teller. Another brands her reckless, unstable, dangerous. Her words are clipped, edited, spliced into montages that twist her fire into fury or her defiance into desperation, depending on the agenda. Trump's camp feeds the machine. Anonymous leaks drip into the media, rumors of investigations into Jasmine, whispers of scandals never proven but endlessly repeated. Headlines scream, scrolls flash red, and the doubt creeps like smoke. But so does the fire of support. Crowds swell outside courthouses and city squares, chanting her name. In churches, in barbershops, in union halls, voices rise. She's fighting for us. She's saying what we've been screaming for years. The world is watching too. Foreign papers splash the confrontation on front pages. Commentators in Europe, Asia, Africa marvel at the drama consuming America. A showdown of power, race, truth, and survival. Inside the chamber, the echoes of that outside storm bleed back in. Lawmakers check their phones, scroll through feeds, watch the streets live on their screens. The hearing no longer belongs only to those present. It belongs to the nation. Jasmine feels it, the weight of millions pressing behind her, lending her their strength. But she also feels the claws of the machine tightening. Every headline, every rumor, every smear sharpened into a blade against her. Trump senses it too. He leans back, hands folded, watching the chaos outside with the calm of a man who believes the storm belongs to him. He feeds on division, thrives on spectacle, and now the world itself has become his arena. The chairman's gavel bangs, demanding order, but the sound is drowned, not by the chamber, but by the world beyond its walls. The voices of millions crash back into the room, shaping every word, every move, every silence. This is no longer a hearing, it is a trial by fire. The jury is the nation, and the verdict will shape history. By the end of the day, the pressure is unbearable. The chamber shakes not with chance, but with destiny itself, pressing both combatants into corners sharp with consequence. The people have spoken, divided, unrelenting, one half chanting Jasmine's name as if she were carved from legend, the other half lifting Trump as if he were the last pillar holding back chaos. And in that split, in that roar that shakes the earth, the hearing reaches a fever pitch. Every breath, every word, every move from now on will decide more than victory. It will decide survival. The chamber is hushed, yet heavy with noise. The echo of chants outside, the rattle of cameras, the thunder of hearts beating too fast. And in the center of it all, Jasmine Crockett rises. Her hand trembles, not with fear, but with force. From her folder, she pulls a stack of papers, marked, stamped, sealed. The room stiffens. Reporters lean forward. Trump tilts his head, smirking, convinced nothing she has could touch him. But then she speaks, her voice sharp, cutting through the chamber like steel. These are not my words. These are not opinions. These are records, internal memos, sealed correspondences, sworn testimonies. And they expose a truth Donald Trump has fought to bury. Gasps ripple like shockwaves. Screens light up, fingers fly across keyboards, and in seconds the documents spread beyond the room, multiplying into headlines across the digital world. Jasmine doesn't stop. She names dates. She names names. She reads lines so damning the silence in the chamber feels like an earthquake held in check. She unveils the testimony of a former aide, sworn under oath, claiming Trump ordered evidence destroyed, instructed loyalists to silence witnesses, and pulled the levers of power not to serve the people, but to shield himself. The air cracks. Members of the panel lean forward, faces pale, their pens frozen mid-note. Every eye swivels, every breath drawn sharp, until all the weight of the world seems aimed at one man. Donald Trump. His smirk falters. For the first time, his jaw clenches. His hands grip the table too tight, knuckles whitening. The cameras close in, hungry for the crack in his armor. And Jasmine? She presses harder. Page after page, she strips away the illusion, the bluster, the untouchable shield. She builds a case brick by brick until the wall Trump once hid behind begins to crumble under its own lies. The chamber erupts. Some leap to their feet, clapping, shouting, cheering as if justice itself has just been resurrected in front of their eyes. Others jeer, slam fists on the desk, shouting her down. The chaos outside seeps in, roaring, colliding, shaking the walls until the chamber feels like the heart of a volcano about to explode. Trump rises. Red-faced, shaking, he slams his fist on the table. "Lies!" he bellows, his voice booming over the din. "This is fabricated garbage. This is a witch hunt. She is the corrupt one. She and her handlers, her radicals, her fake witnesses." He points at Jasmine, jabbing the air like a spear. "She is nothing, a nobody, a tool of the system that hates me because I fight for the real people." His voice cracks into a shout so raw, so furious, it drowns the chants outside. His rage fills the chamber, spilling over the edges like floodwater. But it's not strength this time. It's desperation. Cameras catch every vein, every sweat bead, every wild flicker in his eyes. The image of a man cornered, the hunter turned prey. Jasmine doesn't flinch. Her gaze locks on him, steady as stone. Her voice rises, not in anger, but in clarity, each word cutting sharper than the last. America deserves truth, and no amount of shouting, no storm of threats will silence it tonight. The crowd erupts again, this time louder, wilder, unstoppable. The chamber no longer belongs to Trump. It belongs to the truth Jasmine has laid bare. And as he screams, as he pounds the desk, as his control fractures for the world to see, the balance tilts. The battlefield shifts, and for the first time, it is Donald Trump who feels the ground give way beneath his feet. The tide has turned. The war has entered a new phase, and nothing, no lie, no smear, no fury, can put the fire back in the shadows. But Donald Trump knows fire can be fought with smoke. He straightens, breath ragged, voice raw, yet his eyes flash with that old feral cunning. And in the very moment Jasmine stands tallest, he decides to drag her down, not with arguments, not with facts, but with poison. He leans forward, slow and deliberate, and his tone drops into a venomous calm. "You want to talk about corruption?" he sneers. "Let's talk about her. Let's talk about Jasmine Crockett, this so-called warrior of justice." A hush spreads. The audience leans in, sensing the shift. Trump lifts a sheet of paper, waves it like a weapon. "I have here evidence, documents, records, proof of her dirty little secrets, the payments, the affairs, the whispers no one dares to say out loud." The chamber gasps. Reporters scramble to capture the words, cameras zoom, and already in the digital ether, hashtags ignite like sparks on gasoline. Jasmine freezes, not in guilt, but in shock at the sheer audacity. She knows it's false, every word. But truth is fragile when wrapped in spectacle. And Trump is a master of spectacle. He hammers on. "She talks about justice. She talks about the people. Don't be fooled. Behind the mask, she's no different than the swamp she pretends to fight. She's corrupt. She's compromised. She's bought and sold like every other crooked politician in this building." He slams the desk and the chamber erupts. Half the room roars in approval, chanting his name like he has just landed a decisive blow. The other half shouts back, in rage, voices colliding into chaos. It's no longer debate, it's a storm. Jasmine steps forward, hands clenched, heart pounding like a drum of war. Her mind races. She knows these are lies, fabricated whispers pulled from the darkest corners of conspiracy. But lies have claws, and already she sees it, the flicker in the eyes of some lawmakers, the hesitation, the doubt. Doubt, once planted, spreads like wildfire. Trump senses it. His smirk returns, cruel and wide, feeding on the fear he's sown. "You see," he mocks, pointing directly at Jasmine. "She's trembling. She's cornered, because she knows I hold the truth, and the truth will bury her." It isn't truth, it's quicksand. But in this chamber, quicksand can swallow faster than proof can save. The audience is divided, split down the middle. On one side, cheers rise in thunderous waves, drowning out reason, hungry for her downfall. On the other, voices strain to defend her. But they sound smaller, shakier, as if even conviction itself is slipping through trembling fingers. The reporters? They don't wait for evidence. They don't care if the papers Trump waved are real or smoke. They blast the headlines out like cannon fire. Trump drops bombshell on Crockett. Scandal in the chamber. Justice warrior or hypocrite? The narrative twists, bends, fractures, until Jasmine stands not as a warrior, but as a woman surrounded by shadows she did not create. She takes a breath, steadying herself. Her voice tries to cut through the storm, to denounce the lies, to pull the mask off the deception. But Trump is louder. Trump is relentless. Trump drowns her words in waves of jeers, accusations, and venomous repetition. Every second she fights, the room feels more tilted against her. Every heartbeat, the walls close in tighter. And still she doesn't back down. She meets his gaze, unflinching, eyes blazing with a fury that refuses surrender. But even warriors bleed when struck by shadows. The chamber watches, breathless. The people outside chant and clash louder, the streets echoing with battle cries that blur truth and lies into one. Trump leans back at last, satisfied with the chaos he's unleashed. The smirk on his face says it all. He doesn't need to prove the scandal is real. He only needs to make people wonder. And in politics, sometimes wonder is enough to wound. The battle rages on. The warrior stands bloodied, but not broken. The villain smirks, believing the tide has turned again. And in the eyes of millions watching, the outcome is no longer clear. Victory trembles on the edge of a knife. The world holds its breath. No one knows who will fall first. And then, as if a switch has been flipped, the chamber falls silent. No chants, no shouting, no roaring crowds outside. Just silence, heavy, suffocating. The kind of silence that presses down on the chest and makes the air taste of steel. Jasmine Crockett stands rooted, her shoulders squared, her eyes burning not with anger, but with focus. Across from her, Donald Trump straightens, his smirk faltering into something harder, sharper. For a moment, neither speaks. This is no longer a battle of words. It is a battle of will. Every gaze in the chamber turns to the two of them, as though the entire world has been stripped away until only these two figures remain, a warrior of justice, a ruler of shadows. They stare across the gulf, unblinking. Trump leans forward, eyes narrow, lips curling into the faintest snarl. He is used to noise, to chaos, to dominating through sheer force of voice. But silence? Silence is not his weapon, and in silence his mask begins to slip. His fingers twitch on the desk. His breath grows uneven. The stillness gnaws at him like teeth in the dark. Jasmine doesn't move. She doesn't flinch. Her stillness is her sword, and she wields it with precision. The audience shifts, uncomfortable, as if they too feel the current change. Some fidget, some cough, but no one dares to break the spell. The silence stretches, long and sharp, until it feels like it could cut skin. Trump cracks first. He clears his throat. Too loud, too harsh. The sound bounces back at him, magnified by the stillness, like a gavel striking judgment. His jaw tightens, and he tries again, this time with words. "You think this silence means you've won?" he growls, though the edge of uncertainty clings to the words. "You think you can stare me down? I've stared down dictators. I've stared down enemies of the state. You're nothing compared to them." But his voice wavers. Just enough for Jasmine to see the crack in the armor. She doesn't answer. Not yet. She lets his words hang in the air, let them echo back at him, hollow, stripped of their weight. Her gaze sharpens, steady, unwavering. It is not rage, it is conviction. And conviction in this silence is louder than any roar. Trump shifts again, drumming his fingers against the table, trying to fill the void. He speaks faster now, his words tumbling over each other, desperate to drown out the silence that keeps swallowing him whole. She's a fraud. Don't you see it? She can't touch me. None of you can touch me. I built this system. I am the system. His voice booms, but the chamber no longer bends to his noise. The lawmakers lean back, eyes flicking not to him, but to her, to Jasmine, the one who stands unshaken, unbroken, a pillar in the storm. And that is when the shift becomes undeniable. Trump's bluster grows frantic. His words blur into shouts, each more frantic than the last. The man who once thrived in chaos is now drowning in it. And Jasmine? She takes one slow breath. Her lips part. Her voice is calm, clear, cutting through the air like a blade through smoke. Your noise doesn't scare me. Your lies don't break me. And your power, it ends tonight. The silence collapses into gasps, into murmurs, into a rising wave of energy that electrifies the chamber. It is as though the crowd has witnessed not just defiance, but prophecy. Trump recoils. For the first time, his eyes dart, not just to Jasmine, but to the faces around him, to the lawmakers, to the cameras. And what he sees there is not fear, it is doubt. The silence, once his enemy, has become her ally. And in that stillness, Jasmine has taken the high ground. The chamber thrums with the sense of an inevitable strike, a decisive blow that hovers just beyond reach. Every heartbeat, every glance, every trembling breath builds toward it. Jasmine is ready. Her next move will not simply defend, it will decide. And Trump knows it. Jasmine Crockett does not raise her voice. She does not need to. She simply steps forward, steady, controlled, carrying the weight of a nation's eyes. From her folder, she draws not one, but 3 weapons of truth. The first, emails, verified and time-stamped, each line a dagger. Messages between Trump's closest allies, discussing payoffs, cover-ups, and the destruction of incriminating files. The second, a recording. The chamber stills as the speakers crackle to life. Trump's own voice, unmistakable, barking orders to make sure it disappears, demanding loyalty oaths, promising rewards for silence. Every syllable falls like a hammer, shattering his defenses. The third, a witness. A door opens, and into the chamber steps a former confidant, a figure once seated at Trump's right hand, now ready to speak the truth he fought so long to bury. The gasp that rises from the crowd is thunderous. Trump's face drains of color. The smirk is gone, ripped away, replaced by panic barely disguised as fury. He shakes his head violently, shouting over the evidence. Fake, all of it, fabricated, staged by the radical left. She's a liar, a fraud. But the emails flash on screens around the chamber. The recording plays again, crisp and undeniable. The witness takes the oath, raising a trembling hand, vowing every word will be truth. And Trump's shouting becomes noise. Noise drowned beneath the roar of reality. The chamber erupts. Shouts, cheers, jeers, chaos crashing like waves. Some lawmakers leap from their seats, fists slamming desks, demanding accountability. Others sit frozen, pale, their alliances cracking under the weight of proof too heavy to ignore. Jasmine stands tall amid the storm. Her eyes never leave Trump, who thrashes now like a beast in a trap. He curses, spits venom, calls her names too vile to repeat, but every insult, every outburst only deepens the image of a man undone. For the first time, Donald Trump is not the predator. He is prey, clawing at the walls of a cage built from his own words, his own hands, his own lies. The witness speaks, voice trembling but strong. They recount secret meetings, envelopes of cash, instructions whispered in back rooms, thick with smoke and fear. They describe how Trump demanded loyalty not to the Constitution, not to the people, but to him, and him alone. Each detail lands like a strike to the chest. Each word strips another layer from the myth of invincibility. And Jasmine presses forward, relentless. She lays down fact after fact, document after document, until the chamber is no longer a battleground, but a courtroom, and the verdict feels all but written. Trump slams the desk, red-faced, shouting until his voice cracks. He pounds with both fists, demanding the floor, demanding to be heard. But the more he rages, the more unhinged he looks, the more the weight of evidence crushes the bluster into dust. The crowd outside senses it too. Their chants shift, their roars swelling, carried through the walls. Justice! 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 Inside, the panelists exchange looks, solemn, shaken, resolute. The mask of neutrality is gone. They know, the nation knows, the world knows. Something irreversible has just happened. And in the center of it all stands Jasmine Crockett. No longer just a congresswoman. In this moment, she is the embodiment of resistance, of truth clawing its way through the darkness. Trump grips the desk as though it's the only thing keeping him upright. His voice is hoarse, his words incoherent, spiraling into rants about witch hunts, deep states, conspiracies. But his audience no longer listens with belief. They listen with pity, with fury, with judgment. The battlefield tilts. The fire Jasmine unleashed cannot be doused. And for the first time, Donald Trump teeters at the edge of collapse. The chamber is no longer his stage. It belongs to justice now. And justice is burning, unstoppable, merciless. For Donald Trump, the fire spreads too fast. Every attempt to smother it only fuels the flames. His allies, once loyal shadows at his side, begin to scatter. The same voices that defended him with passion now whisper in corners, avoiding his gaze, calculating their survival. One by one, they back away from the sinking ship, afraid of being dragged into the depths with him. Cameras capture everything. The journalists who once entertained his chaos now circle like wolves scenting blood. Headlines churn in real time. Collapse of a giant. Trump cornered. The endgame of power. The fury he once wielded like a weapon is now a hollow echo. He pounds his fists, his voice raw, screaming the same tired lines. Fake news! Witch hunt! They're all against me! But the chamber doesn't stir. The words fall flat, dead on the marble floor. Even his most hardened supporters hesitate, their eyes betraying doubt. Because the truth is no longer something they can twist. The proof Jasmine delivered, emails, recordings, witnesses, stands in front of them like stone. Unbreakable, unshakable, unavoidable. Trump looks around for rescue, for loyalty. But where once there were nods and clenched fists, now there are turned shoulders. Where once there was applause, now there is silence. The silence cuts deeper than any jeer. Outside, the streets roar with chants. The people have chosen their hero, and it is not him. Signs bearing Jasmine Crockett's name rise like banners of war, calling her the voice of justice, the woman who stood. Her face fills every screen, not as a background player, but as the symbol of a moment too powerful to deny. Trump's empire of noise is collapsing in real time. The media he mocked, the allies he threatened, the crowd he once owned, they all pivot. They smell weakness, and weakness is blood in the water. Reporters shout questions that cut like blades. Mr. Trump, how do you answer the recordings? Mr. Trump, do you deny the witness under oath? Mr. Trump, will you resign before you're forced out? He snarls, waving them off, barking again about deep state lies. But the words lack fire. They sound tired, worn, pitiful. Jasmine, meanwhile, does not move. She does not need to shout, does not need to strike again. Her silence speaks louder than his rage. Her calm, her stillness, is the contrast that damns him further. She stands tall, shoulders squared, eyes fixed forward. Every camera finds her, every headline crowns her. She is the anchor in the storm, the figure unbroken while Trump thrashes in defeat. The lawmakers who once hesitated now lean her way. They quote her words. They reference her evidence. They see in her not just a fighter, but a force, a rising power forged in the fire of confrontation. And Trump feels it. For the first time, he knows the stage does not belong to him. He knows the story has slipped from his grip. His voice, once capable of commanding nations, now scrapes hollow against walls that no longer listen. He bellows one last time, "She's nothing, a nobody. You'll all regret this. You'll all regret it." But the threats ring desperate. The once mighty Titan looks small, shrunken, a man undone by his own shadow. The chamber watches, the nation watches, the world watches, and Jasmine Crockett does not blink. She does not waver. She does not retreat. The scales have shifted fully. The weight of justice presses down, final and unrelenting. For Donald Trump, there is no escape. For Jasmine, there is only assent. And as the session adjourns, the truth is undeniable. The stage is hers now. The momentum is hers. The future bends toward her courage. The villain has fallen, and justice has won the ground. But the story does not end within those four walls. It carries outward into the streets, into the air, into the eyes of a nation hungry for truth. The heavy doors of the chamber swing open. Jasmine Crockett steps into the blinding light. The flash of cameras explodes like fireworks, 1,000 lenses capturing every inch of her, every breath, every heartbeat of triumph. She does not flinch. She does not hide. She walks forward with steady steps, her chin lifted, her presence undeniable. This is no longer the congresswoman who entered the battle as an underdog. This is the warrior who faced a storm and refused to bow. The crowd outside surges like a wave. They chant her name, their voices a living thunder. "Jasmine! Jasmine! Jasmine!" And then another cry, sharper, louder, rising like an anthem. "Warrior of justice! Warrior of justice!" Signs are lifted high, hands stretched toward her. Strangers weep with pride. They do not see her as just one woman anymore. They see her as the embodiment of resistance, of courage, of a truth too long silenced. Every step she takes down the marble stairs feels etched into history. The air is electric, the city alive with the sense that something monumental has shifted. Behind her, the cameras catch a different image. Donald Trump slumped in his chair, alone, abandoned. The once dominant figure reduced to silence, his face darkened with defeat. The footage spreads instantly across the world. Trump crushed, justice prevails, the fall of the Titan. The contrast is staggering. Jasmine in the light, Trump in the shadows. The victor and the vanquished, side by side for all to see. Journalists shout questions, their voices cracking with urgency. "Ms. Crockett, what do you say to the American people tonight? Ms. Crockett, do you believe justice has finally been served? Ms. Crockett, are you ready for what comes next?" She pauses on the steps. The chant's quiet. The cameras lean in. The air holds its breath. Her voice is clear, unwavering. "I did not fight for myself. I fought for every person who ever believed the truth could be buried. I fought because justice does not belong to the powerful. It belongs to the people." The crowd erupts. Tears stream down faces. Fists rise into the air. Chants grow louder than thunder. Her words cut across networks, screens, radios, broadcast into homes, into hearts, into history. In that moment, Jasmine Crockett is no longer just a name. She is a symbol, a living proof that courage can defy corruption, that one voice can silence an empire of lies. Trump, meanwhile, vanishes from the stage. His figure, once towering, now flickers only as an image of defeat replayed endlessly on news loops. His roars of fake news are drowned out by the chants of millions. His empire of noise crumbles into static, and Jasmine's image grows brighter. Memes spread across the internet, not mocking her, but honoring her. Young girls draw her face on posters, songs are written, hashtags trend worldwide. Crockett Justice Warrior, Crockett Rising. The tide of public opinion, once divided, now surges toward her. Not because she is flawless, not because she is invincible, but because she stood when standing seemed impossible. And that is enough to make her immortal in the eyes of history. The night deepens, but the streets do not sleep. They are alive with chants, with celebrations, with the knowledge that something sacred has been reclaimed. Inside every home, families talk of her name. In classrooms, teachers replay her words. On the world stage, Leaders issue statements, some with admiration, some with caution, acknowledging a new force that cannot be ignored. Jasmine Crockett has become more than a lawmaker. She has become a beacon, a reminder that justice, though bruised and battered, can rise again. And as the lights of the city blaze, as chants echo through the night, as cameras beam her image across the globe, one truth becomes undeniable. The story will not remember her as a woman who simply survived a clash with Donald Trump. The story will remember her as the woman who stood, unbroken, and carved her name into the unshakable stone of justice. The villain is defeated, the people rejoice, and Jasmine Crockett, the warrior of justice, walks into history, an icon, eternal, untouchable. In the end, the clash between Jasmine Crockett and Donald Trump was never just about power. It was about truth standing against deception, courage defying corruption, and one voice daring to speak for the many. Justice is not a gift from the powerful. It is a burden carried by those brave enough to rise when silence is easier. And in Jasmine's stand, we are reminded that every act of integrity, no matter how small, can ripple outward and ignite change. The lesson is clear. True strength is not in domination, but in defending what is right. If this story shook you, don't look away. Sit with it, share it, talk about it. Like, comment, and send it to someone who still believes justice deserves a defender. Subscribe to Harrison Stories, where every silence is broken and every battle has a voice. Hit the bell, because the next chapter of truth isn't polished. It's fierce, and it just might change how you see power. This story is a fictional dramatization, born from real struggles against corruption and real acts of courage. Any resemblance to actual people or events is symbolic, a mirror for reflection, a call for accountability. Thank you for watching. Justice isn't given, it's fought for. This is Harrison Stories.